what is this feeling? Like, I was like, I'm actually in a cubicle and I don't need to do a key, do you know what I mean? But it's just, I was just ready to do it because obviously...
Two and two together. I used to go into bars and like give it like a rating out of 10. Like, if it had like a good bad bit, I used to be like, boys, 10 out of 10. Hello and welcome to HighSobriety podcast. I'm your host, Matt Busbridge, and today I'm welcoming my good friend, Harrison Griffiths. Harrison, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Thanks for asking me on, appreciate it.
It's all right, you're welcome. I thought I had to, do you know what I mean? I'm sorry for you're in the background, missing out on the action. You're like, I'm sober as well. Harrison, tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so well, obviously I'm a model, so I work in the creative sort of field, and I've had like two addictions over the last, the gambling and cocaine. I started gambling when I was 15, so used to go to the bookies after school, like skip school, like just spend every bit of money I had. So I was always obsessed with something, do you know what I mean? I was like, I just wanted something to like cling on to, and just like, my mind just needed to be focused on something. And I got scouted when I was 17, so I moved to London.
Nice.
And I'd done drugs a little bit, but not so much, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I started earning good money, and it just went into mayhem, mate, especially with the gambling. I used to just like go to a casting or go to like a job and then straight to the bookies and stay in the bookies till like 11. And then, but I was managing it a little bit at that point because I wasn't doing any coke, or I wasn't really drinking. Like for me, alcohol, I was never a big drinker. Like even at school and stuff, I was just like, I couldn't drink to excess. It was like, I'd have a few and I'd be like knackered, you know what I mean? But I hated that. So when I found coke, I was like, fuck, this is it, do you know what I mean? I could just stay awake. And
drink more, not
drink more, exactly. Yeah.
10 pints in, you still feel like normal. Like, I'm still having a conversation with you. Might be able to perform as well. I don't know yet.
That's it, mate. And the Guinness started coming as well. Do you know what I mean? So like Coke and Guinness at the same time, and the gambling. But the gambling really just took over until I was like 24, 25, and I got in a lot of debt and a lot of like lies and deceit. And you know, I knew you during this period.
Yeah, and probably I looked after you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm like. But I'd be interested to see what you think. What could you gasp anything at that point about if I was struggling with something or not?
No, I mean, I think there was always conversations with accounts. I think they just took a liking to it. I think it was Maria, wasn't it? Used to be accountant there, and she used to always sort of be quite careful with the cash and always made sure that you used something about the trains. I remember that. She'd always make sure that you was getting the trains. We had that booked in, but I think. That's a big part of this job that we don't really see a lot of as an agent. Like we, you know, obviously we are there to help and sort of assist in certain situations, but unless the other person, i.e. the model, feels they can come forward and talk about this sort of stuff, which it's not fucking easy, do you know what I mean? Like, especially at that age, do you know what I mean? And I suppose it felt all quite normal to you, do you know what I mean? Because at that age as well, you hang around with like enablers and other people that are doing the same shit, and you're like, well, this is fine. Like, I'm earning a bit of dough, do you know what I mean? And it's like footballers. I don't think there's enough people to like advise younger people how to use their money carefully.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
100%. You know what, like on the outside with my gambling, because I thought that would be the case. No one can really see what's going on because it doesn't really affect the way you look as such. Yeah. Like no one can see you doing it. Like you can spend thousands of pounds in the space of like a few hours. Do you know what I mean? And it just got to a point, and this is when obviously I decided to leave where we were before because I thought that would solve everything. Do you know what I mean? I thought like I could change something, and I'll stop gambling, and I'll like.
It's like people going on holiday. You know what I mean? Or like going travelling, or jumping into another relationship. Like you're still the same person, and you've not dealt with that shit. Do you know what I mean? So you're just repeating the same patterns wherever you go.
Yeah. It was just like getting, as you said, like with the accounts team, so I'd just be lying constantly about needing money. And then when the money came into my bank, instead of like paying off like loans and paying off people that owed money to and all that shit, it would just be like, I started to get like into coke quite a lot, and I just like get on it and then start gambling for hours and like relationships and stuff like that. I just couldn't hold on to anything. Do you know what I mean? I was like, because I didn't want anyone to know how I was feeling or what I was doing. I was very, very good at hiding it at this point. Like, I could just like lie.
You become an expert actor.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, you sort of make shit up, and it's just like, oh really? Like I said to the other day to someone about how when my phone was running low sometimes and I was waiting for like a delivery of gear, I used to go into bars and pretend like my sister was pregnant. So then they would charge my phone up. But I need battery so I can get my phone back. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's fucked. So you felt like you had different masks on all the time. Is that what you're saying?
100%, mate. You know, stuff like that, like getting money off people, even if it was like 60 quid or something like that, it was just like lie through my teeth. I could tell the best lies in the world, you know what I mean? Like, people would feel sorry for me, or I just wanted everyone to feel sorry for me all during that period of time. And from the outside, like people I went to school with, or like family, friends and stuff, because I was a model living in London, I was doing some good jobs, people thought that I was just sound. Yeah, exactly. And I love that, do you know what I mean? I use that to my advantage to like think I'm fine, do you know what I mean? I'm not like scrimping around, but I was really, but because it doesn't matter how much you get paid, if you're spending more than that,
of course,
it doesn't matter, does it? Do you know what I mean? So I got to like, I think it was 25 when I first went to get help with gambling, but I didn't want to admit about coke, do you know what I mean? Just for everyone in the 20s, there's a lot. But it started to get to the point with coke at this point where I was like, began to stay awake for a day or two, whereas before I'd do it and go to bed, do you know what I mean? And then it became a bit more regular, but like, I was like, I need to go and get help with my gambling, so like confess everything to like my family and stuff, which was difficult because it was embarrassing, do you know what I mean? I'd been earning good money and I had nothing, I couldn't pay my rent. And I went to the National Gambling Clinic in London, in Fulham. It was wicked, mate. Like, first time I went to therapy, first time I sort of had financial advice and all that sort of stuff. And
stuff that you wish you would have had earlier on.
Definitely,
you know what I mean?
100%. Like, I was a bit dubious of it, because I thought, how's that going to help me stop gambling? Do you know what I mean? But it was really good, and it was like an eye-opening thing to like look at my behaviours and how it's affecting people and all that sort of stuff, because I didn't care really. And I was like, this is not me, if anyone feels sorry for me or anything like that, but I was the only child, so I didn't have brother and sister to call her like that, do you know what I mean?
That's a bit of a lone wolf.
Definitely, I love that, do you know what I mean? Because then you can say things to one person and say completely the opposite to someone else, and like, no one's going to be like, oh no,
call you out on your shit.
Definitely, no one was there to call me out. My family lived up north, so like, just lone wolf, exactly. I could do whatever I wanted.
Did you find that when you went back home though, was it like you felt like you was Harrison again?
Nah, because like I was really.
Have you completely forgotten who Harrison was?
I think so. I think like with my mum and stuff like that, especially like what she did was try and love me and like help me and support me. I really didn't give her time of day. Do you know what I mean? It was like a pain to be around. I used to be so mildly and miserable with her all the time, which is sad, mate. Do you know what I mean? 'Cause, like, I'm her son, and like she was like a single parent by herself like that. But so I felt guilty about that. But the guilt was kept eating up inside. So I stopped gambling at that point, and the coke just started to. I replaced that buzz with like one, just like getting bang on it. Do you know what I mean?
Did you find that the sorry to keep sort of going back and forth? But with the gear, did it like accompany the betting? Did it make you like bet more because you was like off your nut? And you was a bit like, like larging it out, do you know what I mean?
I was thinking today actually, I was at a house party, and this is how mad it was. I was at a house party with those people, some of my best mates. I just be on my phone like gambling, and I want to bet. And I was going around showing everyone, but then all I did was buy more gear and like stay awake for longer. And if I want to bet, I'd accumulate it to like how many bags I can get in and all that. Do you know what I mean? It was just it was torture at that point. But then once I like announced I was a gambling addict and I got help with it, I wanted everyone to know about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, my ego was mad. So I was like, I've got help with gambling. Like this massive thing in like young people.
Yeah, of course.
Like sports, stuff like that.
What kind of gambling was you doing?
Horse racing.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
I've been bookies, mate, with like 80-year-old blokes, like retired men, like talking about horse racing.
You have geezers going in there with their packed lunch.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, set up shop and it's like a banquet. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm here for the foreseeable future. You're like, fucking hell, Dave. Like, you've got your tuna fish sandwiches with you. It's just like,
When I first went, everyone could smoke in there as well. Mad. I was 15.
Going back now, mate.
Mad. And we know what like gambling, not some with coke more so, but like I did have some like great times with it. Do you know what I mean? It was like it was good, but it destroyed me a lot more at a younger age. And then with coke, I had a lot better times for a few years. Do you know what I mean? The first like 3 or 4 years of me using cocaine, it was like amazing. Do you know what I mean? I was in places. I was like, obviously, I was working away a lot, so I could go into a party and like make friends and like. It felt like I had like my best mate in my pocket. Do you know what I mean? It was like this is like protecting me. Like, it was like a guard against things, and I could like chat to people.
It was a superpower.
100%.
Super powder. You know what I mean?
True, it's so true. And I didn't need to be in the toilet constantly at this point, like doing a key or like doing line or like talking about it. Like I would just be on it, but I'd be like know that I've got enough, and I wouldn't be worried about getting more later. So it's wicked for those years. Do you know what I mean? I started to go out like to parties and festivals and stuff, and.
Something about the buzz you used to get as well.
Oh, that's what we were talking about right the other day. Mate, that anticipation high, like you know the dealer's coming, or it's Thursday, and you know you've got a big one on Friday, and you order it in for the Friday, and you're like, let's get it on, do you know what I mean?
Do it on the Thursday. That's what I do. I have it sitting there. I was like, I've got to do all of it now, innit?
Exactly. That's it. I just like, it was like buzz me, innit? And that's the best thing about it. And then after my gambling and stuff like that, I met my wife at this point, and like she knew everything about my gambling. Like she helped me out so much, and I was like, I thought I was never going to gamble again. Sorry, I was touching my mic. But then I did relapse twice with gambling, so that was like 5 years ago now, which was tough, you know, because I lied. And, like Felicity saw how I can manipulate and lie. Because I didn't tell her for like, I think she found a betting slip, but I put it there on purpose because I couldn't bring myself to tell her. And that was mad, mate.
How did that make you feel?
Like, I just felt like I couldn't live. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't be a normal person. I felt like, why can't I just stop this thing? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm with someone I love, and like my family have been so supportive throughout this period, and I still needed to do it. And it was after I'd been paid quite a lot of money, because I used to have to give my money to someone to look after, but then that stopped. And I remember I went to a casting, it was in West London, and there was a bookie with William Hill. I don't know what happened, but just in my head I was like, I'm going in. Within 2 minutes I'm spending like £100 on a horse, and it's just like...
How was that feel? Did it feel like it was all like a big rush again? Do you know what I mean? Like,
it was mad. I mean, you know what, I can remember it so clearly because of that rush. Like, I just felt off my nut. Do you know what I mean? I was like, oh my God, And like, it was just mad. And then I had to go back and pretend everything was all right, and it was just like destroying me.
Did you know you'd done wrong though? Like, you know you've had a good time, but it's like when, I don't know, if, say for instance, I've had past when I've been with someone and I've been doing gear and they told me not to come home if I've done gear, and then you do the gear and have a good time, but then afterwards you're going home and you're like, fuck, like what have I done?
Is that after
like, I'm going to let them down, do you know what I mean? It's that feeling of letting someone down. Not so much yourself sometimes, it's hurting the other person.
Yeah, exactly. And then in your head you're thinking, how can I manipulate this to like get out of this situation to make them think that feel sorry for me or that shit.
I got dragged into the bookies. He asked me to put a bet down. I was going to make him some money, do a bit for the community. But that is the thing with drugs, with alcohol, betting. That's what people don't understand sometimes. Like, addiction, it's in fucking illness.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Like, to have that feeling that you get when you get it, and when you haven't got it, and you feel lost without it, and I don't get it so much at the moment because I kind of just keep away from certain areas and places where I feel triggered to do something. But don't get me wrong, like fucking I've just finished watching The Sopranos. And when they're like lining up bits of gear and
kick something up,
drinking, smoking and stuff, I'm like, mate, I can smell it.
Definitely.
Do you know when you get that really shitty coke that's like petrol? Like, I can smell that, and I'm like, fuck. Like, you sort of get brought back to it. Do you know what I mean?
I have the same now, not so much with coke, but with gambling. Like, if I know sometimes on TV, horse racing might be on, or like it will be on a film, like you just said. I get triggered by that sometimes still. But obviously I haven't done it for ages. I wouldn't want to go and stand in the bookies.
No, of course not.
Like, I would go to horse racing, like, because a lot of people, like, especially people who go to horse races, stuff like that, I just would never be able to do that. But I'm not like, oh my God, that's so shit, I can't gamble. It's like, that destroyed me, do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't get to a worse place mentally as it did with coke, but that's because I replaced it with cocaine. And then, so from there, like, my coke was...
How much was you doing, would you say, like,
for gambling?
No, gear.
So at this point, after I stopped gambling, it was like, just whenever I could socially, I was never going, at this point, I was never be by myself doing it. It was like, unless I was at the bookies and just needed a key or something like that. But like at this point, it would be like staying awake for like 2 or 3 days. I remember I went to Croatia with mates to a festival, and like, this is, when I think back to like, when it first got to a place where I was like, wow, I can't control this. Like, I was in Croatia and like, friends I was with, they love doing drugs, you know what I mean? So that wasn't as if I was like with people who don't do it. And every night, as soon as we got into the place we were staying in, every night they'd be going to bed and I'd be like by myself, just doing keys, and then they'd wake up at like 11 or something like that, and they'd be like, "You've been to bed?" And I'd be like, I'd lie, I'd be like, "Yeah, I had a few hours," and they'd be like, "You don't look like you've been to bed," and I'd be like, "Yeah." So then after the third day, like, I would just look like a I was about to die. I was like dehydrated, you know what I mean? And I was just and I was sad, mate. Like in my heart, like I just wanted to stop. Like, I wanted to just go to sleep and like wake up and feel fresh and like enjoy. I wasn't enjoying the festival. I was just like wanted to carry on. And then I remember like walking into different areas of the festival, and this bouncer just like pulled me, and I think he just felt sorry for me because I was just like a little lost boy, and I just needed it all to stop.
Yeah, so you needed a cuddle.
Definitely, mate. Yeah, he didn't cuddle me, he threw me about.
He cuddled you, and then he dashed you in. He's like, give me that.
But and then they took me to the police and stuff because they found some like coke on me and shit, and I swore when I got out of there, I was like, I'm never doing it again. Like, I need help with this. And I remember crying to all my mates. And like the next day I was back on it again, you know what I mean? It was mad. And that's when in my head, that's the first time I was like, I need to get help with this. It's mad. I was stopped gambling, but I felt like there was always this thing, I was like, I need to be doing something, Like, I can't just like sit and just like feel comfortable with myself. I felt so uncomfortable with what I was, you know what I mean?
Don't you think sometimes it feels like when you're doing it, do you know when you're doing it so much and you're sitting indoors like I've said before, I used to love going home and doing it. And it gets to like 4 or 5, you've done like nearly 2 bags. And then there's like a little voice in your head, then you start sobering up, and then you start, like, I'd say it out loud to myself, but like, what the fuck are you doing? What I'm trying to say is it always felt like there was always a voice trying to better me, but then as soon as I'd had a sleep and a couple of days later, that voice would just disappear, and I'd be like, all right, who's up for the pub tonight? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like someone trying to push through, like, but you weren't letting it.
Like the last 2 years when I was taking coke was exactly that. So by myself, I isolated myself from all my mates because all I wanted to do, and it's so sad, but I thought I'd like crack life. I thought I'd find this cheat code, like sit by myself in my flat, like when Felicity wasn't there, or even if she was there and she was asleep, I'd just like bang gear, do you know what I mean? It's like sniff, and then like just be like creeping around because I didn't want to make too much noise.
It wasn't really the weird fingers and stuff, and it'd be like, it's like trying to pick things up and smoking loads of fags.
Like just out the window like this.
Pornhub, like, next one.
It's just like keep going.
It's so weird.
It's weird, you go around in circles, you're like, oh, I need to do this, need to do that. And then like you do, and you'd be thinking, oh, how much have I got left? Like, it was...
Well, like smoking, I'd have like 2 pulls, and then leave the bag,
exactly.
and then go back in, and then do something else, and go back out, have a little bit more. Like, fun, like your hands stink.
It's horrible, isn't it? It's horrible. And you have those moments of clarity and you're like, this is disgusting. And then you have another line and you're back at it again. And then so my mates started to think it was a bit weird because obviously I wasn't hanging around with them as much. And I love my mates, like my mates are great. And most people can control their like cocaine taking, and they could. And then my relationship just got really messy, mate, because in every way possible, she was right. Like, she was like, what are you doing? Like, she saw how the person that I actually was at my root, I didn't see that. I just thought that this is what I deserved, like degradation of like just making myself feel shit, and then like waking up as soon as I'm not on it in the morning, I'm feeling like shit. I'm like, I'm never doing that again. Like, I'm worthless. Blah, 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 all this shit, and then you're paying for that privilege for like so much money to feel shit for 2 or 3 days, and then as soon as you feel better again, it's like bang, I'm at it again. Do you know what I mean? And I was like,
did you like punish yourself? Was it more like when you took yourself away from your friends? Was you like you was punishing yourself to be like, I'm this, I'm that. I should be with all them lot. Do you know what I mean?
I just like started to resent all my mates, but then also how I would punish myself is I couldn't afford to go on holiday with my mates. I couldn't like afford to do bog standard things like get a train because I wanted to buy coke all the time. Do you know what I mean? And like, I had so many dealers I'd rotate around because I didn't want them to think I was doing too much, because one of them would be like, oh, you pick up quite a lot here. And then I started getting off the internet.
Some of them have a heart, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, they do. I used to have one that used to be a bit like, you sure about it? I'm like, just bring it round. I need it.
I think when you get to know them sometimes,
call yourself a drug dealer.
So many people I've met that were in recovery, their drug dealer was a person who told them they might need to get help.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Which says something, doesn't it?
Duty of care.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't care at this point. Do you know what I mean? I started to just wanted to be by myself, and then obviously like my wife left, and I'd done like a 4-day bender, which was like at this point, like 4 or 5 days. I used to do 5 was the maximum I'd do, but I'd definitely do 3. But 4, I'd stay awake for 4 days. I couldn't sleep. I could not sleep, mate, because I didn't want to. But I know now that it was because like I was just wanted to just do more gear. And it was horrible, mate. It's torture. Like,
it's because you didn't want to have the thoughts. Was it sort of like pushing everything
just
back
sitting
to back?
By myself, and then like just feeling when I started to feel shit, I just like, I need more coke. Not like, need to fucking stop now. This is why I'm an addict, do you know what I mean? I'd be like, need to get more and more. And it got to a point where like, I'd be fitting all the time.
Fuck.
Yeah, overdose. I went to the hospital twice for overdose on coke, which is a mad thing, but like, I was just like, oh, it was mad, mate, like horrible. Do you know what I mean? My mates would pick me up and my mate would be like,
sorry, I'm not doing that because
no.
nostril hairs are like going a bit wild.
My mate picked me up and was like, are you all right? And I'd be like, no. I started to tell people. I remember sat in the pub with my mates, I'd be like, because I was 29 at this point, I was like, by the time I'm 30, I'm going to stop. And they all just laughed. You know what I mean? Because people say it all the time, don't they?
Of course.
Not that I'm better than anyone else, but I knew I was fucked. Like, it's just like, I can't control this. Like, as soon as I have a line, I'm just not stopping. I wasn't even doing anything fun, do you know what I mean? It was just me in my flat. And like with work and stuff like that, I started to like stop going to castings. Like, I used to hate traveling.
I was going to say, how did it affect work?
Yeah, a lot. You know what, mate? That was funny because I did some, I don't know how, I did some good jobs at that point. Few and far between. I would never have regular clients because I'd let so many of them down. And I was starting to do something else just because I needed the money to fund my coke addiction. And yeah, it was just fucking lonely, man. And then when we physically left, I was like 4-day bender. And like, so the last 6 months when I was taking coke, I'd do a line and I'd be like, I do this line, I'm gonna kill myself. Like, I'd say it out loud. And if I was with someone, they'd be like, what did you just say? And I'd be like, no, nothing. I know, it's like, no, nothing. And I was like, let's do this line. And then after the 4 days, I was just ready to kill myself, man. Like, I was like, it was horrible, mate. Like, when I think of that, how it made me feel, do you know what I mean? It was.
What was like going through your head? Did you just feel like you just had enough and you just couldn't control what was going on?
I couldn't. I hated like that mental obsession just to be like, I needed to carry on. Why do I have to carry on? Why can't I just do what my mates do? Go to bed after a night out, or like even when I went to festivals, I'd be awake the whole time. And then
it's like you were very similar to.
Yeah.
It's that there was no like half-hearted. We was going in two-footed. It was just like, you know, we're going to the pub. I'm not having a beer. I'm gonna have some drinks. If we're gonna do gear, I'm gonna have a bag. I'm not just gonna have a line. Do you know what I mean? Like,
definitely.
And it's like that frustration that I used to get. Like even when people used to give me some and they'd rack me a line up, I'm like, you quite a fucking line. Do you know what I mean? Like someone's giving me something, and I'm still like, but that's like that addiction in there. It's just like, and then hovering around people. But
like, try and get a line off someone. Like, just talk. You don't even want to talk to them. No. You need it. But like, as you said, that size of the line, I'd be like, well, I need to do that one, that one's bigger and all that. But I felt ready that I was like, so if I can't gamble, I've got to do loads of coke. And then in my head, I was like, if I can at any point actually stop doing cocaine, it's going to be something else. Do you know what I mean? Whether it be sex or fuck knows what, do you know what I mean? Anything. And like everyone around me, I just felt like I was letting them down. And I just hated myself really, mate. And I wrote letters out. And then I was just with my dog, man. Like, it was mad. And then to live on like a balcony on my house and tried to snap my neck. Like this is the first day, it's the 10th of October 2022. And so I put a belt around my neck and like shit. And I was putting all my weight trying to snap my neck. And mate, it was like my dog came, he put his paw, jumped up, put his paws, pushed me back. Mate, it was fucking mad. Like, just like makes me feel unreal now. And I broke down, mate, at that point, obviously. And I just like cuddled my dog, and he was crying. It was just like, it was mad. And then I called my dad. My dad's in recovery as well.
Okay.
And he didn't know at this point, but I called my dad, called my mum. My dad flew straight over from Spain. Like, but it took him, I think it was the day because the next day, so I told everyone, I think my mate came and stayed with me that night, and then when my mate left the next day, I tried to do it again, but I tried to hang myself this time. So I did it I was fucking serious about it. You know what I mean? I know that's not really laughing matter, but I wish I didn't get to that place. But and then my other mate, she came around and like saved my life really, because that second day.
So is this one after the other?
Yeah, consecutive days. I got back on it on that 10th day after I tried to snap because I felt so guilty. Yeah. And then the next day was like, I don't care if my dog gets in the way. I think I sent the dog to the dog walk or something like that. I was like, this is the day. Didn't tell anyone obviously, and then thank God my mate came round and it was scary, man. It was scary. Do you know what I mean? And when like now, if people say, "Oh, why can't you just have a beer?" or if I had a beer, first of all, eventually it'd lead to me doing coke. But I don't ever want to get back to a place where I feel like that ever again. It was dark, man. Like, and you know what? Like, so after that, I went to rehab about 10 days later, and for 2 months, it's stopped now, obviously. For 2 months, the feeling of the belt around my neck was like the most freeing thing I've ever felt. I couldn't stop. I was just like, oh, that felt amazing. I was just letting go. Do you know what I mean? Like, it felt like the best thing in the world. It felt like doing a line. I was fucking nearly there. Do you know what I mean? Because everything was so messy at this point. Even when I was in rehab, I was like, why am I in rehab? Like, I'm 29 years old. Like,
did it feel like the first time you had control over something?
Definitely, 100%. That's such a great way of putting it. It was that is so like, it was just like, wow. And I just kept thinking I was nearly there. And then in rehab, they kept taking all my shoelaces off. But I was never going to do it there. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. It was mad because. I mean, it was a nut house, obviously. Do you know what I mean? It's like I went to view it with my dad like a few days.
So, sorry to keep going back. So this happened the second time you attempted to commit suicide. What happened then? Did you reach out to your friends? Did you tell? Was you like, I'm trying killing myself? Fucking help me.
I told people who needed to know. Obviously, like Kate, my mate who came around, she knew, and then like. My mum and dad knew, but I didn't want like the whole world to know.
No, of course.
I don't even think like my wife knew until like we started to get back together again. Because like I didn't do it for attention, really. Do you know what I mean? Like I'd been such an attention seeker for all those years. That was why I think I liked it. Because I was just like I could have just gone. Do you know what I mean? I just gave up on life, really, obviously. And then I went to view this. Dad was like, "You need to go to rehab," and then I'm like, "Oh, I don't need to go." Because in my head, like. Maybe in a few weeks' time I feel better again. I'll start doing coke. Maybe I'll do coke 2 times.
And that's still going through your head.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? After everything that's happened, and it's still fucking there. Do you know what I mean?
100%. It's so mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's mad. And went to view this place, and I walked in, and I was just like, wow. It's like, no way. I was like, oh my God, we'll be here for 28 days. I was just like...
Tell us a bit about it.
Oh, mate,
it's never been to rehab, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Just like the kind of... Obviously, people have got addiction problems, but... In terms of like what's it like in there, like what was the procedures, like what did you have to do? If you're allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, mate, of course, So I've spoken to a lot of different ones, and obviously there's like 12-step rehab centres, there's dry houses, which was not something that I was going to go to and stuff like that. But I wanted to go somewhere away from London. There was so much stuff going on in London that I needed to get out of London and just like isolate myself and try and get better. I had no idea what it was going to entail. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, you don't.
No, not at all.
Do you know what I mean?
But I would say they take you in and they're like, show you room and stuff, and then they do like a full check on you, and like they ask you every drug you've done over there. That's like 5 years. Wow. And I was just like,
scroll out.
But I kept remembering them like 2 days later, so they had to go back into the file. Let's go back into the file and be like, fuck it, like, there's that one.
It's got another one. Get down.
It was mad. And then they do like a drug test on you, they do a alcohol test and all that. But I had 10 days sober at this point, which I was cooking, do you know what I mean?
Amazing.
Just like, but I was struggling like big time.
Yeah.
And then there was a few people my age, but like everyone was older. A lot of people, I think, who are going for their families.
But did you, when you was like, sorry, again to get you but because you was there with other people, like older people, because I used to do this with drugs and alcohol. Like, so-and-so's got it worse than I have. I'm not as bad as what he is. I'm not an addict. Do you know what I mean? Like, is that how you sort of perceived it?
100%. Like, I just thought, I'm not as bad as them. Like, I've still got a house. I've still got like a job as such, or you know, and it's like everyone is different. Do you know what I mean? Like that was just me. Like I could have taken it further, but just because I did that much doesn't mean that someone who hasn't taken it that far isn't struggling or isn't like, do you know what I mean? It's like, and I'm not saying that as like, look how much coke I did, because it's not about that really. It's like I was really unhappy and I couldn't stop it. I didn't want to do it anymore, but I carried on doing it. But I was looking at people in there. I was like, people had their faces cut and all this sort of stuff, and people weren't listening. Like. When I was in there, I was like, you know what, I am like this, I've got addictive personality, I'm going to give it my all. So like when there was like group sessions, and it wasn't necessarily therapy, you'd be talking about like what your day-to-day looks like and why you might then think, oh, I'll do a line, or for most people it was like have a drink, or do you know what I mean? Or what if people had kids, why don't you, kids want to see you and all this stuff. So it was like better that way rather than just talking about, well, this is how shit everything is.
Yeah,
it was like, right, how do we make this better?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
How do we improve this?
Exactly, you've got to look forward, you know what I mean? Like all that stuff that I've done and all the shit that I've caused myself and other people, if I stick on that, I'll never get anywhere, do you know what I mean?
No.
But the people who were there working there had all done have all been in recovery for years, which really helped me.
Yeah.
So I talked to him. The guy who ran it was a class guy, man. He was like an older guy, like suited and booted.
Nice.
And he was like from heroin and crack and so much stuff. He was like 35 years.
Yeah.
Top bloke, do you know what I mean? And I just got on with him so well. And it helped me a lot in there. It helped me a lot. And like after 28 days, I was ready to leave. Do you know what I mean? Like you haven't got your freedom.
So you literally penned in there, like you can't go out and about.
You can go out like once every 2 weeks, I think, to like a garden centre.
Nice.
Or like something like that, you know, which is mad for me.
No. And you've got any and you've got any plant food. What's that, like MCAT, whatever it was?
Bit of plant food in the back, it's just a bit gardening, you know what I mean? But yeah, so you get to go out, when you go out, it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. But when I left, my mum picked me up and I was so scared, man. I was like, fuck, because then you've got to deal with all the reality. The thing is, rehab, it's really good just to be like, right, I know what I need to do, but then actually putting it into action, I was so scared, mate. Like going into the same room where I tried to kill myself, or going into, like, seeing my mates or seeing my mom, like all of this stuff. And all I was told in there was just focus on this for the minute. Do you know what I mean? Don't forget all of that, because that'll all come back to you if you start getting better. You know what I mean? And I came out and I remember my mum took this pizza up, I remember going into the cubicle and it was the first time I've been in the cubicle outside and not just gone in my pocket. And it was so weird, mate. I was like, what is this feeling? Like, I was like, I'm actually in the cubicle and I don't need to do a key, do you know what I mean? But it's just, I was just ready to do it because obviously...
Two and two together. I used to go into bars and like give it like a rating out of 10. Like if it had like a good bad bit, I used to be like, boys, 10 out of 10. And they've got a bit where the toilet paper is and the little metal bit across. So fuck. So it was still like, you still felt triggered in certain
Definitely. If I think if I'd have just stopped there, for me, this is not for anyone else, like everyone's different and everyone needs their own thing to help them and all that sort of stuff. If I'd have just gone to rehab and then came out, I spoke to my wife about this a few weeks ago and she was like, you know, she's like, you've got a lot of determination. I think you would have carried on, but I would have been like struggling, like not being able to do the stuff that I'm able to do now. So I actually went to a 12-step fellowship in London when I came out. And I didn't ever want to do that. I thought it was all God and like all this sort of stuff. And I listened to people, and they were like 10 years or like, and they were telling my story, exactly the stuff that I used to do when I was on coke, what we do, like creeping around and all that, and like relationships going bad. And I was like, you know what? I didn't believe it. I was like, they said they can go to like nightclubs, festivals, all this, like go out till like 5 a.m. I thought it was just like lies.
You're like slim fast.
Yeah, exactly.
That's only one sin.
It's like a loaf of bread. And I was like, right, I'm going to give it my all again, because my dad does the same thing, but in a different fellowship. And I just put my heart and soul into it. Do you know what I mean? Like I lived by myself, like did it repetitive. It was good to have structure as well, really. I had no structure before that. And things started to come back to me. Like I wasn't like, right, I need to get my wife back at all. I was happy not happy, but if we weren't ever meant to be, then that's fine. Because I've got to focus on this. Exactly. Because there's so much shit that's gone on. I just had to let go of it all. I let go of so much like of my past shit and like people who I felt did me wrong. Like guilt. Mostly guilt with myself. Do you know what I mean? I had to start loving myself again. It was mad because people on the outside, you're a model. Like how can you not love yourself? You're doing all right, but you live in London. But I hated it, mate. Do you know what I mean? It was just mad. And then I went through the 12 steps and everything that was promised to me. Like I went to Glastonbury. But all my mates, I was sat in a tent, everyone's doing gear, didn't even want to do a line, you know what I mean? I go to nightclubs, like, I'm not saying this to show off, it's just like, I didn't ever think I could be in a place where this would happen. And I have such a better time now when I'm present. I'm with my mates, which I never was, as I just like spoke about, and like, they getting the best of me. Like now, rather as before, they'd be like nicking their gear up, be like sneaking off, like just doing mad stuff, like just sneaky. And some people I find it hard to accept that, definitely. I don't know if you have the same thing where... Yeah, I mean, sometimes, but I think it's like with you, I've had the same core group of mates for a long time. And what they try and enforce into me is I wasn't a bad person. I just had a bit of a problem with substances, because I sort of was talking to two of them the other week, and it was saying about how I felt like I come across like a monster, and they were like, you didn't, Matt, because we wouldn't be friends with you still. They just said that you wasn't great when you was on alcohol and taking drugs. So, but they've been nothing but supportive, mate. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes I think like it's good to
you know, if some people don't agree with it and you've been mates with them, clearly they're not your pals. Like you do find your own tribe sometimes. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
And people take the piss out of that, but it's true.
But you know what? Like my core group of mates have all been amazing. I love them. It's more people I wasn't so close with. But for me, when people take the piss and have a laugh, I love that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Life's meant to be better now.
Yeah, of course.
If I was like, what are you talking about? Like, or if I see some like a gig, I went to the streets a few months ago, and I saw someone doing a key in front of me, I'm like, oh mate, get away from me. That's no way to live for me because like I'm still struggling. Yeah. And I just wanted to get rid of all that shit and like be free from the fact that if I do a line, if I have a little key, or even if I did a pill, for example, it would eventually, because I know what I'm like, I know what my brain likes, I'd eventually be 4 days in again. And I'd be like, wow, what have I done?
That's why I won't do mushrooms and stuff. Because I'm like, people are like, why don't you try doing that? And like do little doses. And I'll be like, yeah, be a couple of doses, then I want 4 more doses. Do you know what I mean? It's honestly not worth my fucking time. Because we both, especially your story, like we've got so far in this. I'm very much like you. Like sometimes when I look at stuff, I've said it before. Like it all gets a bit too much of people talking about things and how they feel they're not higher up than you are. But deep down, like the fucking journey, man. Like it's hard. Like it's not all fucking roses and everything's fine and your life's going to be all better. Like there's so many obstacles to come. Like you've literally just overcome one of the biggest ones, and then you're having to fucking find out who you are and like what you're about and what the fuck you've been doing these past 10, 12 years. Do you know what I mean? And that's where I'm at the moment. Because I'm like, well, everything I'm doing is the same resemblance of my old life. This job, working in London, travelling from Kent, like the flat I live in. Do you know what I mean? Like it's got all this fucking resemblance, and it's kind of like, do I just have to start afresh again? Do you know what I mean?
It's so true. Like, because the thing is, you have your feelings again. I never knew what feelings were. Do you know what I mean? So
heartbreak.
Exactly, mate. I mean, things are a lot harder in that. I used to I used to think about what people thought about me. I would be like, I'll do a line and I feel better about myself. But now, it happens quite often. I'm like, it's actually funny with people in recovery as well. Because I'm like, as you just said, the hierarchy, or if someone doesn't respond well to what I'm saying, like even someone that I sort of know, I don't see them all the time, but they're in recovery, and I'm like, I overthink it. And before, that wouldn't hurt me as much, but now I'm like, what if I said something wrong, or that sort of thing, and it's really weird, isn't it?
You become like a massive overthinker.
Yeah, 100%.
Like your senses are all there, and like you know, that's so true. Even like in my line of work,
exactly.
It could be an email that's a bit worded weirdly, and I'm like, fuck, why are they pissed off with me, or texting someone? I'd be like, well, what's up with you? Exactly. They're like, we're fine. They're like, well, you don't seem fine. Like, just like fuck off. It's like this like sixth sense.
100%.
Most of the time, it's right.
You're right, mate. 100%, Matt. Like that is exactly it. Like it's right, and it's like if this person doesn't like me for who I am at purest form, do you know what I mean? As well, like, and not that that's better than anyone else who does drink or take drugs like at all, but then it hurts me more because I'm like, I'm not being a dick. Like, I'm not trying to.
What more do you want from me?
Exactly. I'm not trying to intentionally. I might be a dick at times. Obviously, I'm not perfect, but if they find me annoying or like they don't like me when I'm trying to be my best self, it hurts more.
Yeah, of course it does. Because then I think, like, what was I like when I was boozing? Do you know what I mean? Was I actually a better person? It was more fun.
Yeah, you're right. That's it. And you have that complication in your head about, like, you've lost that fun side of what it is, isn't it? Yeah, that's a hard thing.
And also, like I always talk about it, it's that fucking loneliness. Do you know what I mean? Like you find like you've got so much more time on your hands. Like the weekends come about, and I'm like, well, what the fuck am I doing myself? Like, what is this? Do you know what I mean? Like I don't. But then I'm one of these sort of people that doesn't really plan things because I was such a last minute person. Like, oh, should we go pub? Oh, what are you up to? Should we go to the pub? Or should we go here? Should we go to this bar? And then that's you sorted. Do you know what I mean? Like it's wild. But how has your life changed then since you've gone sober? Like what's improved? Like what advice could you give for anyone that's looking to go sober or is sober curious?
It's a good question because like I think if anyone is struggling, like just reach out to people. I had 2 or 3 people who I didn't know, who family friends knew or like my mates knew, who called me when I was just before I went to rehab. And I listened to them, but I wasn't really listening. Do you know what I mean? I just thought, I don't know about like they're trying to help me. I don't know these people, but just try and get in contact with someone who's like has done it for a long period of time. I think it's scary because you start to think like, what am I going to do at the weekend? Am I going to be able to keep my job? It's all stuff I thought about. Am I going to be able to do the stuff I do now, go to festivals or like see my mates or relationships, even sex? What sex is going to be like without COVID? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's scary, but like what it's like now is I'm not perfect at all in any way, shape or form, but everything that I do now or say, or, you know, difficult decisions I have to make, I can do them now, which is weird. I'm finding that funny because I never ever, for all those years since 15, I just shied away from them and would like protect myself by like saying something stupid or like switching a big decision really quickly. Not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even with relationships we spoke about, I'm just like responsible and reliable, which sounds mad.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
true. Yeah.
Which I never wanted to be. I wanted to be this like maniac who like everyone thinks is fun and amazing, and which I was for a couple of years, but then it was just secluded myself from that. Do you know what I mean? And I hope that people know that it's not about me thinking I'm amazing because I don't do drugs and drink. I wish that I could, in a way, just do them now and again, but I know that I'm an addict. And, I can never go back there, and hopefully people can see that. But it's beautiful, you know what I mean? Like the stuff, I go hiking a lot now, like with the dog. I never used to go outside, mate. I got these really thick blinds bought in our flat when I bought it. And I used to just close them off all day. And now, the first thing I do is wake up and like open the blinds. And it sounds mad, but it's like...
It's because you appreciate shit. You appreciate like a good sunrise and all that sort of shit. And like when it's nice outside, and do you know what I mean? Like it's, I don't know, like you just get a buzz of different shit now.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Instead of just like the booze and the drugs and stuff. But it's crazy. But
when I saw you though for the first time a few weeks ago, I could see you look like sparkling. Do you know what I mean? But it's like it does that to people and I see it. And like now when people start doing it for a few months, and it's a buzz in itself, it's been like that. And like it's not about how you look, obviously, but me and you can have a proper chat now. I know it was like work before, and it means more than it ever did if we were doing gear together or drinking. Do you know what I mean?
But isn't it funny how we worked together, but we never knew those stories until now?
Do
you know what I mean? Because that just shows you how hidden we kept stuff.
It's
like
so
that.
easy, though, isn't it? To do that. But that's beautiful. Do you know what I mean? And like, I'm really happy with. It was a tough journey, and like people say to me, "Oh, it's been hard," but it's been the most freeing thing. Like I got a tattoo of freedom on my arm after about 6 months. And every day I wake up and like, thank fuck I'm not feeling shit.
No, brother, you should be so proud of yourself.
Oh, thanks, mate. Appreciate that. And you.
Thank you, mate. Thanks, buddy. We do a little section at the end of the show where we ask for your zero hero. So it's basically like your favourite 0% drink.
Okay.
If you do it, because I don't either.
I'm trying to think where the best one is. The Guinness one's pretty banging because he's like,
it's good, isn't it?
It's good, but like, I don't like Lucky Saint.
No,
not about that. No. I think it's
that's
halfway.
Sponsor, mate.
Is it?
I'm joking.
No. I mean, I'm getting all that high horse about 0%. I mean, there's one that we had in
the legs across. That's not serious shit.
0% connoisseur. There's one when we went to Gran Canaria. I went hiking this winter, and mate, there was a Spanish one. It was a banger, mate. It was really good. I have no idea what it's called. Do you know what I mean? But
just tasting it, standing in a car. I've got a secret one that no one's got. We have to go to Spain.
Hit him with back pocket, innit? You know what I mean?
Mate, thank you so much.
Mate, top man.
Appreciate you coming on, mate. Thank you for sharing your story.
That's right, mate.
That was
thanks for having me.
really, really good.
Nice one,
Thank you, mate.
Appreciate it.
That was episode 7. Please like, share, follow, and I'll see you soon.